In my last life, I died silently, my throat swollen shut from the dumb cane Ethan fed me. My baby gone before I ever held him. And Ethan? He just stood there, expression cold, as I collapsed. His final words were etched into my dying breath. It's all your fault, Emily. If you hadn't saved me back then, I never would have lost Rachel. Now she's carrying my child. You should have stepped aside. I should have died with regret. But as my world went black, I felt one thing stronger than pain fury, red hot and bone deep. I didn't ask to love him. I didn't ask to save him. So when I opened my eyes again to the sound of distant screaming and sunlight spilling over a cornfield, I already knew. I was back, a second chance. My breath caught in my throat. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming, but then I heard the voice, my own voice, clear and unbroken. Help. A snake, someone help him. I whipped around. That voice, that moment, it was happening. Again, I pushed through the stalks, heart hammering. In the distance, I saw Ethan writhing on the ground, legs swollen, face pale. The same exact scene from before. The venomous snake, the crowd, the panic. It was all back. And this time, I still had my voice, my strength, my life. I could feel Rachel's gaze pierce through me from the crowd. Emily, she barked, aren't you going to save Ethan? You like him, don't you? She didn't know that I knew. That I remembered her sneaking into the cornfield with him. That she was the one he wanted, always was. That after I lost my voice to save him, they laughed behind my back. Emily, go on. Another voice urged. He'll die if no one helps him. I stared at Ethan, the same man who left me to rot, who watched me die and called it justice. His breath was ragged. Emily, help. He groaned. I should have cared. Once, I would have, but not this time. I took a step back and spoke loud and clear. Why should I? Gasps rippled through the crowd. I'm an unmarried girl, I said calmly. You want me to suck venom from a man's leg? That's improper. Rachel, you're the one he likes. You do it. Rachel's face turned ghost white. What nonsense. Are you? You've been sneaking pork from my house for weeks. I cut her off. I brought it for Ethan, but you're the one who took it. You've been close, closer than I ever was. Ethan's eyes widened, lips trembling. The villagers started whispering. They remembered now the pork deliveries, the stolen glances. Rachel snapped, Emily, be quiet. If Ethan dies, he's a man. He can handle it. I folded my arms. And if anyone here wants to play the hero, be my guest. Silence. No one moved. Rachel turned to Ethan, but he wouldn't meet her eyes. His leg was turning purple. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Half an hour later, the village tricycle finally returned. Ethan and Rachel were loaded in and rushed to the county hospital. I didn't go. Not this time. A week passed. Word spread fast. The snake bite was too severe. The hospital didn't have antivenom. The doctors had to amputate. Ethan came back with a missing leg. And Rachel? She stayed at his bedside through the entire hospital stay, not for love, but because it kept her out of the cornfields. Lazy and cunning, she milked the situation until Ethan was back in the village. Then, just like that, she pushed him onto my doorstep. Emily, she hissed, Ethan needs care. The camp isn't suitable for someone in his condition. I stared her dead in the eye. And I'm not suitable for garbage, she fumed. You used to love him. You brought him meat every day. Yeah, I gave him pork. He fed it to you. And now, both of you can eat your own lies. Ethan, still in a wheelchair, tried guilt. Emily, if you had helped me that day, I wouldn't be like this. You were heartless. I smiled. You were heartless first. You just never noticed. That night, I slept deeply for the first time in years, but Ethan wasn't done. Days later, he returned, hobbling on crutches with that smug look on his face. I'm going back to the city, he announced. I've got approval from the commune. Once I'm back, I'll buy a good teaching job. Meanwhile, you'll rot here like the farmer's daughter you are. I almost laughed. With what money? You can't walk, can't work, and your family disowned you. His smirk twitched. Don't worry, he said slowly. Your father agreed to give me 200 yuans. As long as I marry you, I get the dowry. You'll come with me. My stomach dropped. No, not again. I ran home. My heart wouldn't stop pounding. Dad, I cried. Tell me it's not true. He slapped me across the face. You ungrateful brat, he growled. You're almost 22 and still not married. You think you'll find better than Ethan? A city man? My blood boiled. My voice shook. He's a liar, a cripple. He'll ruin me. My mother stayed silent. Her eyes were sunken, tired. I could see it in her face. She was scared too. But this time, I wouldn't fold. This time, I would fight. I didn't sleep that night. The stinging mark from my father's slap still burned across my cheek, but the pain couldn't compare to the betrayal I felt inside. I kept thinking, had nothing changed? I came back to life to reclaim my freedom, and yet, here I was again being sold like livestock to the same man who had once murdered me and my child. This wasn't a mistake. It was a trap. The next morning, I watched my father sharpen his pig slaughtering knives in the courtyard, humming as if he hadn't crushed his daughter's dignity just hours earlier. I stood at the doorway and stared at the blades. They gleamed under the sun, steel, cold, but not as cold as his heart. You ready to pack? He said without turning. Ethan's already told the commune. You're leaving with him next week. I clenched my fists. I'm not going anywhere. He paused. What did you say? I said no. He turned slowly, face hardening. Ungrateful brat. I feed you. I raise you. You think you have the right to say no? I'm not a pig, and you're not selling me off like one. Before he could speak, I walked past him, straight to the kitchen. I grabbed the biggest butcher's knife we had, returned to the yard, and slammed it onto the chopping block. Crack. The blade sunk into the wood, trembling slightly. If you ever raise your hand to me or mom again, I swear I'll use this, I said, voice like ice. On you. He flinched. For the first time in my life, my father looked afraid of me, and it felt good. He tried to laugh it off. You've gone mad. A girl waving knives? Think that makes you powerful? No, I said calmly, but fear does. Just then, my mother emerged from the house, pale and shaking. Emily, put it down, please. Don't provoke him. But my father was already backing away, muttering curses. Crazy girl, not worth the trouble. He stormed off, and for once, he didn't hit her, or me. That night, my mother came to my room. Her eyes were tired, lined with sorrow and something deeper, resignation. You shouldn't have threatened. Your father, she whispered. It'll only make things worse. I looked at her, tears burning behind my eyes. You've been living like this for over 20 years, haven't you? Scared, silent, beaten down. Why didn't you ever fight back? She smiled faintly. Because I didn't have a daughter like you back then. We sat together in silence for a long time. Then she pulled a worn cloth pouch from her blouse and handed it to me. Inside was a bundle of old bills to owe you on. The same money meant to be my dowry. I looked at her, stunned. Take it, she said. Use it for yourself, not for him. You're giving this to me? She nodded. You said you wanted to go to Shenzhen. If that's truly what you want, go. I'll handle your father. Tears rolled silently down my cheeks. I hugged her tight, breathing in the scent of soot and cabbage and warmth that had always meant home. Thank you, Mom. I won't waste it. The next day, I went straight to the county office and applied for my national ID card. I would be among the first wave of villagers in our province to receive one, and that little piece of paper would be my key to freedom. While I waited for the ID to process, Ethan was busy playing the role of future husband. He strutted through the village with his crutch like a war hero, telling everyone he was taking me to the city, that he was being generous by marrying me despite my background. Rachel, of course, was back at his side, clinging to him like a hungry leech. Their plan was obvious. Use me for the dowry, then ditch me once we got to the city. Same as last time. But I was already 10 steps ahead. I told Ethan I had bought 3 train tickets, one for him, one for Rachel, and one for myself. They believed me because I played the part of the naive butcher's daughter perfectly. Wide-eyed, submissive, obedient. The Emily they remembered. What I really did was buy 1 real ticket to Shenzhen and picked up 2 expired tickets from a trash bin at the station. As the departure day neared, Ethan got more arrogant. Don't forget to pack my coat, he said smugly one morning. I want to look proper when I get off the train. People in the city care about appearances. Rachel giggled beside him. And don't forget my shoes, my city friends said. The platforms are slippery. I bit back my disgust. Of course, I'll take care of everything. And I did. Just not the way they expected. The morning we were to leave, my parents helped carry our luggage to the station. My mother was quiet, resolute. My father, still dreaming of becoming a city father-in-law, kept boasting about Ethan's connections. In North City, Emily's got it made. He told anyone who'd listen. A cripple, sure, but he's educated. That's what matters. As the train whistle blew, Ethan and Rachel bounced in excitement. City life, here we come. He cheered. They handed their tickets to the conductor, who barely glanced at them until he paused, frowned, and called over a colleague. Meanwhile, I boarded the Shenzhen train with my real ticket, found my seat by the window, and waited. Moments later, Rachel's voice rang out in panic. These are expired? No. Check again. It can't be. Ethan shouted. Emily, you gave us fake tickets? I leaned out the window and smiled sweetly. Oops, guess I mixed them up. The train began to move. Emily, you be Ethan's voice was cut off by the hiss of steam and steel. I watched their faces fade into the distance, mouths open, powerless. I was free, and I was going to build a new life on my terms. The train ride to Shenzhen felt like a lifetime. I pressed my forehead against the glass and watched the countryside disappear, field by field, until the world turned into blur. I didn't cry. I'd done enough crying in my last life. This time, I had no room for tears, only focus. When I stepped off the train, the first thing that hit me was the smell. Oil, sweat, steel, smog. It was nothing like the air back home. No chickens clucking, no pigs squealing. Just the roaring sound of a city being built from the ground up. It was 1984, and Shenzhen was exploding. Skyscrapers rose like weeds, construction sites buzzed like anthills. And me? I was just one of thousands, maybe millions of nobodies, trying to make it. I found a job at an electronics factory by lying about my experience. I told them I had steady hands, good eyesight, and could work overtime. What I didn't say was that I'd never used a screwdriver in my life, but they hired me anyway. Labor was cheap, and they weren't picky. The dorm was cramped, 6 bunks, in a windowless room that smelled like sweat and noodles. There was no privacy, just noise and snoring and girls crying into their pillows after lights out. I never joined them. I'd already cried once in another life. My days were filled with the same motion: tighten screws, pack wires, check lights, repeat. My fingers blistered, then calloused. My back ached, but I never complained. I kept my head down, my mouth shut, and my ears open. Each night, while the others dozed or whispered about boys and marriages, I would pull out my cheap tape recorder and sing softly into my pillow old folk songs, the kind my mother used to hum when she braided my hair. I did it to stay sane, to remember who I was before the noise of the machine swallowed me whole. One night, I didn't realize one of the girls had been listening. After I finished a verse, she sat up and whispered, Emily, that was you? I nodded, embarrassed. Your voice sounds like it belongs on the radio. I shook my head. It's nothing. But the next week, during the factory's monthly employee talent show, my team leader pushed me onto the stage. Sing, she ordered, arms crossed, or you're cleaning the bathrooms for the next month. I was terrified. My hands shook as I held the microphone, surrounded by a sea of tired, grease-stained faces. But the moment the music started, something inside me woke up, something I thought had died when Ethan fed me that poison. I sang, not for them, not even for myself. I sang for my mother, for the girl who had to live in fear, for the woman who had to pretend love meant silence. When I finished, the room went quiet. Then they cheered. From that night on, everything changed. My team leader recommended me for the publicity department. I got reassigned from the assembly line to planning factory performances, community events, and training new hires. My pay doubled. I got a single bed and 2 extra hours of sleep, but more than that, I got respect. For the first time in my life, people looked at me and saw someone. Soon, I began collecting cassette tapes from nearby shops, studying pop singers, practicing my breath control and pitch. I sang in Mandarin, in Cantonese, in dialects I barely understood. I absorbed every sound like a sponge. I didn't just want to sing well, I wanted to be undeniable. Months passed. Then one day, a flyer appeared on the bulletin board in the factory canteen. Shenzhen Youth Singing Competition open to all residents with valid ID. The prize? A cash bonus, a feature on the local radio, and a record label tryout. I stared at it for a long time, my hands shaking. Could I? Should I? You're entering, my supervisor said flatly when she saw me reading it. You sing better than the girls on TV. Go show them what a butcher's daughter can do. That night, I didn't sleep. I stood by the window in the dorm, staring out at the flickering city lights. I thought of the village, my mother's quiet strength, My father's cruelty, Ethan's lies, Rachel's smirking face, and then I whispered to the glass, I'm not going back, not until they all remember my name. I signed up the next morning. There were dozens of contestants. Some had been trained professionally. Some wore makeup and heels I couldn't afford. I had one cheap blouse, worn shoes, and a voice that came from pain, survival, and a will so strong it scared me sometimes. I sang in the first round, then the second, then the third. Each time, more people remembered me, cheered for me. Reporters started coming. The local news did a short piece. My picture ended up on a community bulletin board. People in the factory started calling me Mountain Nightingale, and when the final round came, I didn't falter. I sang the same folk ballad I'd once hummed while scrubbing floors as a mute, broken girl in another life. Now, I sang it with a full voice, with pride, with fury, with freedom. When they announced my name as the winner, the crowd erupted. I didn't cry. I stood tall. I had fought tooth and nail to be here, and I wasn't done yet. After the contest, everything happened fast. The local radio station offered to record a demo with me. They gave me studio time, vocal coaching, even a stylist. I walked into that recording booth with trembling hands and left with something I never thought I'd hold in my life, a cassette tape with my voice on it, labeled simply, Emily. A week later, I got a call from a small record label in Guangzhou. They wanted to sign me .at first. I thought it was a prank, but when I arrived at their office, shiny floors, walls lined with posters of famous singers, I knew it was real. They had heard me on the radio and said my voice had a folk purity, with urban clarity. I didn't know what that meant exactly, but I nodded like I did. I signed the contract with shaking fingers. I released my debut album 3 months later. The title? Just one word, Emily. I wanted them to remember me, not as a factory girl, not as a butcher's daughter, but as me, the girl who'd risen from blood and betrayal, rebuilt her voice, and dared to dream. The album didn't just sell, it exploded. Radio stations picked up my songs. Fans wrote letters. Some even came to the studio just to wait outside and catch a glimpse of me. Girls from factories, markets, and small villages sent messages saying, "You give me hope." Some of them had fathers like mine. Some had husbands, like Ethan. I wasn't just singing, I was healing them and myself. My second album came even faster. Bigger team, better budget. It hit 500,000 sales in the first month. Suddenly, I was doing interviews, standing on TV stages, shaking hands with officials. People called me the voice of working women. But even with all that, I never forgot who I was. I still ate in small canteens. I still sent money home every month. And I never stopped singing those old folk songs because they reminded me of where I came from and where I would never return. Still, the more I rose, the more one question haunted me. Do I deserve this? Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night, sweaty and breathless, remembering Ethan's words, "It's your fault. You ruined my life." And even though I knew he was wrong, the guilt clung like smoke. Not for him, but for my mother, for leaving her behind, for not being able to protect her sooner. Then, during the spring festival, I returned home for the first time. It was surreal. From the county entrance to the village gate, banners hung with my name. There were red drums and gongs, firecrackers. I was no longer just the girl who brought pork to Ethan. I was a star, but the only face I searched for was my mother's. She was waiting at the gate, clutching a red scarf she'd knitted for me. Her hands trembled, her eyes filled with tears. I ran into her arms like I was still 17. "You did it," she whispered. "You really did it." We cried together for a long time. Then I asked, "Did Dad ever hit you again?" She snorted. "That old bastard? No, 2 years ago, he got rammed by a pig during slaughter, cracked his spine. Now he can barely lift a bowl of rice." I blinked. "What?" She nodded, smirking. "Now he does laundry and sweeps the yard. If he so much as raises his voice, I throw water on him." We both laughed, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of freedom in her eyes. Not fear, not exhaustion, just peace. Later that evening, we sat down to eat. The whole village gathered outside, some hoping to glimpse me, others just wanting to gossip. And that's when it happened. Someone pushed their way through the crowd, limping heavily. A voice cracked through the noise. "Emily, it's me, Ethan." The name hit me like ice. The next day, he took me to the old music district, not a flashy rooftop or 5-star restaurant, just a row of dusty record shops and second-hand pianos. The kind of place where dreams began. We sat on a bench outside a tiny cafe. He handed me a cup of jasmine tea. I noticed a faint tremble in his fingers. I used to come here when my mom had chemo, he said suddenly. I'd wait hours while she got treated. This was the only place that made the wait bearable. I looked at him, surprised by the honesty. She didn't make it, he added, eyes fixed on the steam rising from his cup. But music kept me going. And just like that, the wall between us cracked. For the first time in years, I told someone everything. The snake bite, the mute years, the poison, the betrayal, my father's fists, the butcher's knives, the train station, the fake tickets, Rachel, Ethan, the blood, the loss, the silence. He didn't flinch. He just listened. When I finally stopped talking, the sun had already set. I used to think love was something you had to earn, I said quietly, something you had to suffer for. It's not, he replied. Real love doesn't cost you your voice. It gives it back. The words undid me. Tears rolled silently down my cheeks. Not from pain, but because someone had finally spoken to the version of me that still crouched in the dark, waiting to be told she mattered. He didn't try to touch me, didn't reach for my hand. He just let me cry. And somehow, that made me trust him even more. After that night, something between us changed. Not in a dramatic, cinematic way, but in the small things. The way he walked beside me instead of ahead. The way he remembered my mother's name. The way he'd ask, "How are you?" No, really, how are you? He never asked to be part of my spotlight, never hovered in public. But I caught him watching me during shows sometimes. His eyes steady, proud, never possessive. And yet, I still couldn't say yes to him. Not completely. I was afraid of being wrong again. Afraid of needing someone, afraid that the girl who had clawed her way to the top would lose herself in love again. Then, one day, I got a call from the hospital. My mother had collapsed. I flew back to the village in a heartbeat. When I walked into the hospital room, she was sitting upright, drinking porridge and scolding the nurses for fussing. Just low blood sugar, she said. Don't cry. But I was already sobbing into her hand. Mom, I whispered, I'm so scared. She stroked my hair. Don't be. You've already done the hardest part. I pulled up a chair. We sat in silence for a while. Then I told her about Alex, about how kind he was, how different, how gentle, and how terrified I was of letting him in. She listened quietly, then smiled. You know, she said, you didn't get your strength from me, but your fear, that part we share. She looked out the window, lost in her own thoughts. After your father's first beating, I told myself I couldn't leave. Because of shame, because of survival, because I thought love was supposed to hurt. I stayed because I was afraid of being alone. She turned to me, eyes clear. But you, Emily, you already faced being alone, and you made it. That means you're ready now. Ready to choose someone not out of fear, but out of freedom. I didn't respond. But that night, back in my hotel room, I picked up the phone and dialed Alex's number. When he answered, I whispered the words that had taken me to lives to learn. Come home. Life had a strange way of testing you just when you thought you'd won. The day Alex moved into my apartment, it rained. Not a heavy storm, just a quiet drizzle that made the city shimmer like a dream. He came with nothing but two suitcases, a guitar and a ceramic tea set. He placed the tea on my kitchen shelf like it had always belonged there. I'm not here to change your life, he said, just to share it. And for the first time in years, I believed a man when he said something beautiful. We lived quietly. We cooked together, watched old films, took evening walks with no disguises, no bodyguards. I kept expecting the happiness to crack, to be revealed as some illusion. But it didn't. I felt safe, whole. But the past, it never knocks before it enters. One afternoon, I returned home from rehearsals to find Alex standing in the kitchen with a letter in his hand, his face unreadable. What's that? I asked. It came to the foundation's address, he said, from the county court. It's addressed to you. I took it confused. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a notice. Rachel had filed a civil lawsuit against me, claiming fraud, reputational damage, and even emotional harm. She wanted compensation, claimed I had maliciously sabotaged her return to the city, and publicly slandered her character during my rise to fame. For a moment, I couldn't speak. I just laughed. A sharp, cold sound. She wants money, I said flatly. She's broke. She thinks this will get her a slice. Alex read the letter again. Her lawyer is well-funded. My jaw clenched. Ethan, Alex nodded. Apparently, after Ethan's last jail stint, he had found a new patron. An opportunistic businessman who collected useful idiots. He bailed Ethan out in exchange for favors. The kind that involved petty revenge. The kind that had my name on the paperwork. They're not going to win, Alex said. Your record is clean. The court can't touch you. That's not what they want, I said. They want a story. This wasn't about law, it was about shame. They wanted to drag me through the mud, to hurt my reputation, to see if the girl who clawed her way up would crumble on public stage. And for a moment, I wanted to. I wanted to scream, to slam doors, to throw plates against the wall and curse every god that ever gave Ethan breath. But I didn't. I walked to the window, watched the city lights blur behind tears, and I whispered, I'm not afraid, because I wasn't. Not anymore. I turned, and time seemed to pause. He was a shadow of the man I'd once known. Hair gray, cheeks sunken, his once proud frame now hunched, barely held up by a crude wooden crutch. His clothes were patched, filthy. His eyes, once arrogant, now pleaded. It was like looking at a ghost and a beggar. I knew you'd come back, he said. I always believed you would. Before I could reply, my manager and 2 guards stepped in. She doesn't know you, old man. Back off. I do, I said quietly. Let him speak. The crowd fell silent. Everyone waited. Some remembered the rumors how Ethan and Rachel had fooled around, how I'd gone to the city alone, how they never made it back. I had a dream, Ethan said shakily, that you saved me, and we were married, that we had a child. The memory slammed into me like a fist. You don't get to talk about that, I said coldly. Not here, not ever. I know I hurt you, he whispered, but I've changed. I'm alone now. I think of you every day. I never forgot what you did for me. My stomach churned. This was the same man who once said, it's your fault. Rachel is carrying my child now. He stepped forward. I know I made mistakes, but you were my first love. You still are. The silence was suffocating. I walked up slowly, my heels clicking against the dirt road. I stared him down, then leaned close and whispered, you said you loved Rachel, that you'd give her everything. Where's she now? His face crumbled. She left, married a tractor driver, had a kid. Then, she vanished. I felt nothing. No pity, no anger, just a quiet kind of triumph. You're not my past anymore, I said. You're just a cautionary tale. And then, in front of the whole village, I turned and walked away. Back in Shenzhen, the energy felt different. Bigger, faster. The skyline had doubled since I left just months ago. But I wasn't the same girl who had arrived with nothing but calloused hands and a broken past. I had become a household name. And for better or worse, people now looked at me with expectation. The record label was thrilled with the publicity from my visit home. The story practically wrote itself. Poor village girl returns in glory, face to face with her betrayer. They wanted to do a feature story, maybe even a biopic. I refused. I didn't want Ethan to be immortalized in any version of my legacy. That part of my life wasn't entertainment, it was blood, pain, silence, and survival. But still, the encounter haunted me. Late at night, alone in my condo, I'd stare out at the neon-lit streets and hear Ethan's voice again. You were my first love. If he'd said that in my past life, before Rachel, before the poison, would I have melted? Would I have forgiven? But now, even his voice was meaningless noise. And yet, it lingered, not because of love, but because of what he symbolized, all the ways I had once let myself be used. My manager noticed I was distracted. You should take a break, she said. You've been running nonstop. I shook my head. I don't need rest. I need to finish the 3rd album, the one that makes people remember. Remember what? That I wasn't born special. I was made in fire. We began work the next day. But as I pushed deeper into the creative process, something unexpected happened. I began writing songs that weren't just about pain, but about recovery. Not just betrayal, but boundaries. Not just love lost, but self-love found. One night, while composing lyrics alone at the studio, I wrote a line that stopped me cold. I wanted you to love me so badly, I forgot to love myself. I stared at it, heart pounding. That was it, the truth I'd never said out loud. That night, I cried not from pain, but from release. The album dropped 2 months later. It wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon. Fans called it the Heartbreak album for women who got back up. Radio hosts said it was a revolution in music born from scars. Women wrote to me, sent me poems, hand-sewn scarves, handwritten notes saying, "You speak for us. You gave us a voice." But even in all the joy, another twist waited. One afternoon, while leaving a rehearsal, my assistant came rushing into the dressing room. "Emily, you're not going to believe this." She handed me a tabloid. There on the front page was a grainy photo of Rachel, disheveled, tearful, carrying a toddler on her back, walking barefoot through a muddy road. Former educated youth. Now, beggar claims abandonment by father of her child. Below the photo was a quote, "He promised me the city. Now he won't even look me in the eye." My heart twisted, not for her, but for the child. According to the article, Rachel had been living with a tractor driver in a remote village. When he married someone else, she was kicked out. No money, no status, just a child and shame. She'd tried to return to the city, but like Ethan, she had no identity records, no connections, no way back. I sat in silence for a long time. That could have been me. And no matter how much I hated her, I couldn't ignore the sick feeling in my chest. Not forgiveness, but recognition. She too had been discarded like garbage. My assistant looked at me, waiting for me to react. "Let it go," I finally said. She already lost everything. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I pitied Rachel, but because I realized how close I'd come to being her if I had taken a single wrong turn. If I had married Ethan, if I hadn't left. The next morning, I called my manager. "I want to start a foundation," I said, "for music, for girls. Girls like me. Girls who were told they were worthless. Girls who had dreams buried under obligation, fear, and tradition." We launched the Emily Foundation for rural youth empowerment within 6 months. We offered scholarships, legal aid for domestic abuse victims, and music education programs in villages. I didn't do it for PR. I did it because I had walked through that fire and made it out alive. Now I wanted to light torches for others. And still, the world kept spinning. Albums sold, tours launched. People called me an icon of female resilience. But then, a letter arrived that shook me more than anything else. It was from the county jail. From Ethan. The handwriting was crooked, shaky. The letter smelled faintly of mildew and ink. It read, "Emily, I don't deserve your time, but I'm writing because I need to say it out loud. Not to clear my name, but because I can't die with it inside me. You saved me once. I repaid you with betrayal. I thought I was entitled to everything. To you, to Rachel, to love without giving it back. But now I sit in a cell every night, remembering the look in your eyes the last time we met. Not hate, not love, just finality. You were the only one who ever truly gave, and I was the one who took. I hope your voice never fades. I hope your name lives forever. I am sorry." Athani stared at the letter for a long time, and then I burned it, not in anger, not in vengeance, but because I didn't need it anymore. I had already moved on. He was still trapped in the story. I was writing new ones. Fame changed everything except the things it could end. Single quotes. It didn't erase the ache that sometimes rose up from nowhere. The fear that the world would strip it all away. Or the voice that whispered, "You're still the butcher's daughter. Don't get too comfortable." And though I smiled on stage and dazzled in interviews, deep down, I had locked part of myself away. The part that still trembled at the memory of a man's betrayal. The part that still felt unworthy of being truly loved. So when Alex Cheng entered my life, I was completely unprepared. He was the CEO of a major media group, one of the sponsors of my foundation. Sharp suit, sharper wit, too perfect for someone like me. But he didn't treat me like a product. He didn't speak to the image. He spoke to me. "You sing like you've bled," he said the first time we met. I blinked. "And what do you know about bleeding?" He just smiled, calm and confident. Enough to recognize someone who survived it. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. He saw right through me and it terrified me. At first, I avoided him. Professional emails, polite distance, no personal contact. But the man was persistent in a way that didn't cross boundaries. He sponsored more projects, sent books he thought I'd like, dropped thoughtful notes instead of flowers, never demanding, just present. For someone used to men like Ethan, it was disarming. "Why are you being so nice to me?" I asked him one night after a charity gala. He shrugged. "Because you've spent your whole life giving. Maybe it's time someone gave back." The words hit something raw. I wanted to believe him, but a part of me still braced for betrayal. Still, I found myself looking forward to our conversations, our walks after events, The way he actually listened, really listened, not to reply, but to understand. But I couldn't let it happen. I told myself I didn't have time, that I wasn't ready, that a woman like me, scarred, stubborn, a storm in a silk dress, wasn't made for love anymore. Then one night, he called. "Are you free tomorrow? I have a press shoot." "Cancel it." I laughed. "You cancel it." I already did. The trial became national news the moment it was filed. Every outlet wanted a scoop. Village idol accused by ex-friends, Rachel returns. Forgotten woman seeks justice or revenge. Is Emily's success built on lies? I refused interviews, declined comment. I let my legal team handle everything. But inside, a storm raged, because even though I was no longer the mute girl with bleeding hands and a butcher's knife, I was still her. And she was tired of running from ghosts. So I wrote a new song, the most personal one yet. No studio polish, just my voice, raw and unflinching. It wasn't about Ethan or Rachel. It was about me, about the moment I had stood in that field, corn in one hand and my heart in the other. About how I'd chosen to live even when it meant losing everything. The night I performed at Live, there was no choreography, no spotlight, just me and a single piano. When I finished, the hall was silent. Then someone stood, then another, and then the whole room standing ovation. Not because I hit every note, but because I had told the truth. The next day, the tabloids changed their tone. Emily's voice breaks the chord of public opinion. Standing ovation silences critics. Rachel's lawsuit crumbles under public support. A week later, Rachel withdrew the suit. No apology, no explanation, just a quiet retreat. But she wasn't done. A few weeks after the case ended, my mother called me, her voice shaking. "Emily, he's here." I froze. "Who?" "Ethan. He came to the village, said he wants to talk to you." I felt the floor fall from under me. Alex was already moving, grabbing the car keys, but I shook my head. "I have to go alone." I arrived in the village by sunset. The air smelled of wet earth and old stories. Ethan stood by the well, leaning on a newer crutch. His face was thinner, lined with time, but his eyes were the same, entitled, hollow, hungry. "Emily," he said, voice trembling with what he wanted me to believe was regret. "I didn't come for forgiveness," I said before he could speak. No, he replied. "I came to give you something." He reached into his coat and pulled out an old notebook, the kind we used as kids in the literacy class. He handed it to me. Inside were songs, lyrics, pages and pages of words. "I wrote them in prison," he said, "thinking about what I'd say if I ever saw you again." I closed the book without reading. "I don't want your words," I said. "I don't need them. I lost everything," he said, eyes glistening. "You won, Emily." "No," I said, stepping closer, voice like steel. "I survived. You buried me, and I dug my way out." "That's not winning, that's resurrection." He looked away, ashamed or maybe just annoyed he didn't get the reaction he wanted. "You still hate me," he whispered. "No," I said. "I just don't care anymore." And with that, I turned my back on him, the way he once turned his back on me. But as I walked away, something strange happened. He called after me, "Emily." I turned slightly, and he smiled. "Your mom. She was the only one who believed in me, even at the end. She gave me food once, even after I sued you." I felt my stomach twist. He continued, "She's sick, isn't she?" My blood turned to ice. "What? She didn't tell you?" I didn't answer. I couldn't breathe. Ethan smiled, cruel and slow. "Enjoy your spotlight, Emily. Just remember it's lonely at the top, especially when the people who made you start disappearing." I didn't wait. I ran to my mother's house. Ran like the earth was collapsing behind me. I flung open the door. "Mom?" I screamed. She was sitting at the table, pale, a scarf around her head. She smiled weakly. "I didn't want to worry you." Tears blurred my vision. "You're all I have left," I choked. "And you," she whispered, holding my hand, "are all I've ever needed." My mother's illness came quietly, like most pain does. She hadn't wanted to burden me. Even as her body betrayed her, bones thinning, lungs weakening, she kept writing me cheerful letters, telling me about the new hens, the tomato harvest, a stray cat that refused to leave the porch. But now that I saw her in person, there was no hiding it. The scarf around her head wasn't for style. It was for the hair that chemo had taken. Her smile still held warmth, but it shook at the edges. Her frame, once solid, looked as though the wind could carry her off. I stayed by her side for 2 weeks, canceled shows, postponed everything. I cooked for her, read her poetry, combed her hair when she had the strength to sit up. In those quiet moments, we spoke without words, only touch and breath and time. On the last night before I returned to the city to fulfill one last obligation, she took my hand and whispered, "Emily, you already gave me the best gift a mother can ask for." "What's that?" I asked, brushing tears from her cheek. "You live the life I never dared to dream for you." I broke completely. I sobbed into her lap like I was 10 again, like her strength could still hold me together. But this time, she was the one unraveling. "I'm not ready," I whispered. "I'm not done needing you." She held my hand tighter. "But I'm done needing pain. Let me go peacefully when it's time. And promise me something, anything. Promise me you'll keep singing. Not for fame, not to prove anything, just to keep your truth alive." I promised. Then I left her with a kiss and a silent prayer. Back in the city, a surprise awaited me. The National Music Hall had chosen me as the guest of honor for their annual gala. The theme was Voices of the People. They wanted me to perform one final, unreleased song, something personal, something real. I knew exactly what I'd sing. The lyrics came to me during those quiet nights at my mother's bedside. I named it Bone and Blood. The verses were a thank you letter to the butcher's daughter, to the girl who survived dumb cane poison, to the young woman who lied, ran, clawed, and bled for every inch of her voice. And the chorus? It was for my mother. "You held my silence like a song, taught me soft could still be strong even when the night was long. You never let me break. Bone and blood, you carried me through every fall, through every plea, and now the voice the world can see is one you helped me make." I cried while writing it. I cried while rehearsing it. And on the night of the performance, I cried again as the orchestra rose behind me, filling the space with trembling strings. But I didn't cry when I sang. I stood in that golden hall, eyes locked on the camera that would broadcast to millions, and I sang like my soul had grown wings. The audience rose before the final note, every single seat. Even the conductor turned to applaud. It wasn't just the applause that mattered. It was the feeling that I was no longer singing to survive. I was singing to live. After the gala, news came from the village. My mother had passed in her sleep. No suffering, no final gasps, just quiet. A peaceful exit for a woman who had known more war at home than in any battlefield. Her funeral was simple. She had requested no grandeur, only that I sing Bone and Blood one more time, this time, just for her. I did. I sang in the field behind our house, with a microphone clipped to an old chair, chickens in the background, dust on my boots, and every villager gathered in silence, heads bowed. My father stood in the back, hunched and broken. He didn't speak, he didn't cry, but after the last verse, he stepped forward, placed a single wildflower on my mother's grave, and whispered, "I don't deserve her, but she gave me a daughter who can carry her name further than I ever did." I looked at him, and for the first time, I didn't feel rage. I felt pity. In the months that followed, I changed. Fame still followed me, but it didn't define me. I launched a foundation in my mother's name, offering scholarships to girls from rural villages who wanted to study art or music. I returned to Shenzhen, not as a worker but as an honorary citizen, cutting the ribbon at a new performing arts center built where the factory once stood. I kept my promise. I kept singing. Alex and I never married. Not because we didn't love each other, but because we didn't need paper to validate what we already knew. We lived together quietly. And when I struggled with the grief, he never tried to fix it. He just held space. One rainy night, I told him, "There are still parts of me that don't believe I deserve this." He touched my cheek and said, "Then I'll keep reminding you until every part believes it." 1 year after my mother's death, I received a letter. No return address. Inside a single photo. It was Ethan. Old, thinner, missing teeth but unmistakable. Sitting on a bench in some forgotten county town, playing an old harmonica. On the back, a note in shaky handwriting. "I used to think love was about winning. Now I know it's about leaving something behind." No signature. I folded the photo in half and burned it. There was no hatred in me anymore, only distance, like a fog that finally lifted. I didn't need to see him again. His memory, once a chain, now felt like an old scar, faded, painless, proof that I had healed. Years passed. One summer, I returned to the village again, this time with cameras. A documentary crew had asked to film a special call, the voice that came from silence. As we wrapped filming near the old well, a little girl approached me, maybe 9, hair in braids, her dress stained from helping her mom in the field. She held a notebook. "I wrote a song," she said shyly. "Will you read it?" I knelt, took the paper, and read. The lyrics were clumsy, but honest, full of heart. I smiled and looked into her eager eyes. "What's your name?" My, I said. "You remind me of someone." "Who?" she asked. "A girl who once stood right here and believed the only way to be heard was to bleed." She frowned. "Did she stop believing that?" I smiled. "She learned to sing louder."